Yeah, the scope is important.
Welcome to the planning board meeting
We'll,
of January 10th, 2018. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting and may transmit the meeting through any meeting. I don't understand that. Attendees shall therefore advise that any recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. The a roll call, excuse me.
Member Glenn present?
Member Ryan present.
Member Barry present.
Member Mead present. The first item on our agenda is voting on the minutes from December 13, 2017. I think everybody got a copy of them emailed to them.
Correct. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is the continued public hearing for 235, 239 Farrington Street, Planning Board Case 2017-09. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 11, and Title 17 of the Quincy Municipal Code, the Quincy Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday. This is the public hearing that was scheduled in October and continue. The application proposes the demolition of both existing two-family structures and two garages and the construction of 4 new unit townhouse complex building with garage and outside off-street parking for a total of 10 parking spaces. The applicant also proposes landscaping, drainage, and other site modifications. The property contains 10,000 plus or minus square feet of land and is located at 235, 239 Farrington Street. I have a letter no, that's not continuing. No, the one that you asked for a continuance. Oh, I'm sorry. It's an email to Ms. Karen. Kindly consider this as a request for a continuance of a hearing regarding the above captioned matter scheduled before the Planning Board on January 10th, 2018 to February 2018. A motion to allow for the continuance. So moved. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item is another continued public hearing for 479 Washington Street, Planning Board Case 2017. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 11, and Title 17 of the Quincy Municipal Code, the Quincy Planning Board hold a continued public hearing on January 10, 2018, on the application of Washington Street Acquisitions, LLC, 27 Elliott Street, Jamaica Plain, Mass. 02130, for a site plan review under Quincy zoning ordinance Title 17, Section 9.5.1, site plan review, and special permit, Section 5.2.6, loading docks, Title 17, Section, and signs 5.3.13. The applicant proposes to re-tenant the vacant 479 Washington Street building as a new multifamily retail structure with leasing of 4,990 square feet portion of the building to Convenient MD. The project will include renovations to improve the aesthetics of the building, facade, reconfiguration of the site's parking layout to include 60 parking spaces, and existing structure, and a reduction in the existing curb cuts. The applicant also proposes landscaping, drainage, and other site modifications. The property contains 45,644 plus or minus square feet of land and is located at 479 Washington Street. The property is located, the subject property is located within a Business B zoning district and shown in Assessors Plan 2057, Lot 15-B. Mr. Harnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you, members of the board. As the board is aware, my name is Bob Harnett, and I represent the applicant. We were before this board in December at the time we gave a full presentation to the board. And there was an issue the board brought up, and the planning department brought up, was the size of the signage. The applicant at one point proposed a signage, you see the signage there, that were going to be approximately 180 square feet. They reduced it down to approximately 140 square feet. And the city and the planning department and the planning board indicated that they wanted less. less. So we agreed, and meet with the planning department, and now going back, MD committee going back to their board. They understand what the city's concern is, they understand the signage is too big. So they brought it back to the board, and the board said they would do what the city wants. That's how bad they want to be in Quincy. They are committed to the city of Quincy, they're committed to perform the service of the city of Quincy. So in agreement with the planning department, they agreed to go 100 square feet. The sign will be 100 square feet instead of what they were looking for, 140. I believe that conforms to what the planning department was looking at. I believe that's what conforms to what the planning board was looking at last time we were here. Other than that, that was the only outstanding issue. My issue is, now, in the course between then and now, there was some other discussion we had. There is a park right across the street. If you see the Christopher Park. Rob Stevens with the planning department, in discussing with him, we brought up an issue. The subject was that somebody needs to maintain that park. And MD Convenience indicated they, in fact, are going to volunteer to do so for the next 5 years. They're going to let the city know that they will maintain that park. This is something above and beyond what they're required to do. But then again, that's how much they're going to be invested in the city of Quincy. They want to make that corner theirs. They want to make that corner very, very nice to look at. And nothing to cross the Christopher Park isn't. It is. But they feel since they're going to be there, since they're going to be the dominant tenant there, they want to make sure they can fix everything they can to make everything look good for the city, not the city standards. So that's a volunteer. Also, I will tell you, in past conversations, the applicant also understands the Rotary Clubhouse needed some assistance with regards to working with the city and fixing it up. They also have volunteered to do that. They work with Councilor Brad Kroll. This is both the applicant and the tenant, Convene MD. I need to tell the board in dealing with them, they are so invested in the city. They want what Convene MD's offers in the future to the students in the city is a tremendous asset. I would tell this board that I believe we met all the criteria above and beyond. They were agreeing exactly what the board wants, reducing the signage to what the board requested, the planning requested. At this point, they would love to go forward. We're here to answer any question the board has. I know that was the main sticking point. We were here last month, and I believe everything else was with regards to the whole, the landscape, everything was settled. So we'd ask the board if they could today, if they have any further questions, we're here to address them. And if not, we'd like to be able to move forward and get this thing done. Again, what was there is so much different than what's going to be there. And again, this is an applicant that's very invested in the city. The applicant themselves, actually know the iParty store. They redid that whole thing themselves. They're an applicant that has worked for the city, with the city, and will continue to work with the city. So we'd ask that the board could go forward on this, or any questions that they may have.
Any questions from board members, from Mr. Hines, or the applicant? I just have one.
Sure.
You've agreed to do 100 square feet signage. That's all of the signage, right?
Well, no, some are less. Some actually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the maximum is.
But what was the number before? 170, 180?
It went up to there, then it went down to approximately 140, but that still was too big, so.
So you're at 100?
We're at 100, yes.
Okay. Any questions?
And 85 for the back, correct?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that's a high number, the back would be the low number.
Okay. This is a continued public hearing, so I'm going to open it up.
Sure.
Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? We have sheets available on the side, on the windowsill. Anyone wishing to speak? Third and last time, anyone wishing to speak? Have a motion to close the public hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Department have a recommendation? Jim?
Yes. Based on the City of Quincy interdepartmental review and review by the independent peer reviewer, the department recommends that the board approve the site plan review under Quincy zoning ordinance Title 17, Section 9.5.1, site plan review, and special permits, Sections 5.2.6, loading docks, and 5.3.13, signs, subject to the following conditions. So we have the general conditions, which I will not read, and we'll continue to the special conditions on page 5. Special condition number 1, the applicant shall conduct a pre-renovation hazardous materials survey, i.e. asbestos-containing materials, fluorescent lights, PCB containing materials including ballast, mercury containing thermostats and switches, etc., and provide a copy of the completed survey to the Quincy Health Department. If hazardous materials are found in the building, then the applicant or its licensed abatement contractor shall consult with the Quincy Health Department regarding adherence to regulations and best practices for abatement measures and monitoring of abatement work. Special condition number 2, the applicant shall conduct a road safety audit, RSA, at the Washington Street and Southern Artery intersection and provide a copy of the RSA to the city's traffic engineer. The city's traffic engineer shall approve any improvements recommended by the RSA, including but not limited to design and implementation of an optimal traffic signal timing phasing plan for the intersection, and the addition of green arrow lenses on the southern artery approaches. The applicant shall be responsible for paying the costs of the RSA and recommended traffic improvements in the amount not to exceed $15,000. Special condition number 3, all proposed landscaping, fencing, signage, and any other potential obstructions along the site frontages shall be kept outside the site triangles so as not to impede site distances for drivers exiting the site and at the intersection of Southern Artery and Washington Street in accordance with section 6.3.1 of the zoning ordinance, and any freestanding sign shall be set back a minimum 6 feet from the property line in accordance with section 5.3 of the zoning ordinance. The Director of Inspectional Services or his designee shall determine compliance with this special condition. Special condition number 4, the applicant shall replace the sidewalks on the Southern Artery and Washington Street property frontages with a new concrete sidewalk, with new concrete sidewalks and granite curbing. The applicant shall also replace the sidewalks on the Beacon Street and Bessie Street property frontages with asphalt sidewalks and granite curbing. Special condition number 5, the building signage for the convenient MD urgent care tenant space shall not exceed 100 square feet in area for the tenant signage attached to the building facing Washington Street, 100 square feet of the tenant signage attached to the building facing Southern Artery, and 85 square feet for the tenant signage attached to the building facing Beacon Street. All other signage for individual tenant spaces shall not exceed 50 square feet per tenant space and shall only be located on the side of the building facing Southern Artery. The Director of Inspectional Services or his designee shall determine compliance with this special condition. And that's it for the special conditions.
Thanks. Any questions of Mr. Walsh's departmental recommendation?
I have a question. Just for my application, the way the condition number 5 is drafted, I know convenient MD is in for the long run. In the unlikely event that a tenant change occurs, does this signage move with the property?
I leave that up to the board. I don't, this is a requirement of convenient MD, not a requirement of any other tenants. So I leave that up to the board. I don't imagine any other tenant would have that same.
I just want to make sure that's true, that no other tenant would have a 100-foot sign by right.
Yeah, so it just be convenient.
Maybe we can modify that condition.
You don't want to sign it for individual tenant spaces, so not exceed 50 square feet per tenant.
And I'm sorry, I'm speaking just for myself.
That's fine.
I
We'll just
defer to the rest of the
rather
board.
resolve it now.
So this would be if the tenant changes, sometimes what may happen in the business, a brand name changes, but it doesn't necessarily, the same tenant, same business, but it's on the same business, same tenants.
Question. Doesn't a new sign have to be approved by the board, by the city anyway, the department?
Jay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Is there, any sign changes need to be approved, any new sign would need to be approved anyway, we need
It's largely up to this planning board how they want to react to a change in a signed copy of the sign. But typically, when the signed copy changes, even if it's by variance, you're allowed to change the copy to a new copy. The sign size can remain the same, but this board can put any condition they feel is appropriate.
Would the board consider doing this? If, for instance, there is a name brand change at the same company, or let us come before the board, explain the change. If it's another tenant, that's a whole different issue. But if it's the same business, same company, just changing the name brand, would come before the board and let you know that's what's happening. But any other tenant, we don't see that's gonna be an issue.
I guess my question, sorry, my question was confusing, but, so if there's an existing structure and there's a new business coming in, it's like Five Guys across the street, so that sign needed to be approved by somebody, correct? So how does that work, I guess? Or wouldn't this be the same type of process, I guess is my question.
Well, the planning board would be different. The planning board can set the conditions saying, in other words, as Mr. Duca said, they can switch signs, the same size, because that's already been, the size has been approved. But the planning board can set a condition saying, if the sign's gonna change, we have to come before the planning board again.
And there's a condition within our general conditions, the planning board shall vote with simple majority of sitting members to approve or deny a modification. I look at it as a modification.
Right.
That would be my opinion. I don't know.
Okay.
No, that answers my question, thank you.
Member Barrett, does that give you some comfort now?
It does.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
As cited with Mr. Walsh's departmental recommendations, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. So unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, through you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is J.
Yeah, that's the way it is anyway. The next item is a public hearing for 83 Dysart Street, Planning Board Case 2017-13. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 11, and Title 17 of the Quincy Municipal Code, the Quincy Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, December 13, 2017. Oh, this is the continued public hearing. On or about 721 in the first floor boards and commissions room, Quincy City Hall, 1305 Hancock Street, for the purpose of making a determination pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 16, on the application of George Lang, manager for 83 Dysart Street LLC, regarding the application of the Quincy Zoning Board of Appeals for a proposed single-family home located at 83 Dysart Street. The Planning Board will determine if there are specific and material changes to the plans and application that were filed with the ZBA in case Z17-16, a single-family home, versus the plans and application that were filed and denied by the ZBA in case Z16-17, a two-family home. We are fortunate to have the Director of Inspectional Services with us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be here, and good evening. For the record, my name is Jay Duker. I'm the Director of Inspectional Services. I'm here tonight representing the City of Quincy and the Quincy Zoning Board of Appeal. This case is regarding a repetitive zoning board case at 83 Dysart Street, which is also regulated by Mass General Law 48, Section 16, that requires this board to take action as well as the zoning board. I apologize for getting the documents to you. We just voted on it last night, and the documents were actually prepared today. But the specifics of the case is that last January, the applicant applied for relief from the zoning board to build a two-family dwelling on a 10,609 square foot lot. That ultimately was denied by the Zoning Board of Appeals. The applicant came back again in September, which is the reason for the repetitiveness of this case. In this time around, he's applied for relief for a single-family dwelling and to subdivide the lot, creating a 6,496 square foot lot, and build a single-family home, tearing down a large garage in the back. So The case, basically the difference between the cases, one was a two-family that was denied. He was at the zoning board last night, the applicant seeking relief for a single family, which was approved by the zoning board of appeal. So I sent a copy, each one of you may have, it provides the Mass General Law, Mass General Law 48, Section 16, which basically requires the zoning board to determine that there's been material and specific changes in the two cases, and to reduce that to writing in their decision, which they did last night. The copy of the zoning decision is before you, that occurred last night. I'm respectfully asking this board to look at the case, look at the findings of fact from the zoning board in the decision, and if they feel there is a material and specific change, to consent thereto.
Okay. We're not representing the applicant, so is someone here to represent them?
Yes,
Council Phelan?
yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I would just add to Mr. Duca's statement that the initial application was actually for a finding, not for a variance. That's one substantial difference. At the time, we were working with the neighbors, many of whom suggested that they would accept and actually welcome a single family as opposed to a multi-family structure. When it was apparent that the board wasn't looking favorably upon the two-family, I suggested I be able to withdraw it and then reapply. They said, no need to. There is a substantial difference here if you come back with a single family. We came back with the single family, which required a variance, not a finding, and which required the lot to be subdivided, wherein the finding was not going to subdivide the lot. So, single family as opposed to a two-family, variance as opposed to a finding, and completely different size structure are the primary differences.
Any questions of Council Phelan? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak? Come on up. Identify yourself. I don't know who you are.
My name's Ann Doyle, and I live at 77 Dysart Street. I have a couple of quick questions. One of the things is that I was at the meeting last night. The residents weren't able to see the finding of facts because it just got done, I guess, today for you all to see. So it would be of interest to me to know what the actual finding of facts were in terms of what the decisions were last night, because it was a very quick meeting last night. So I don't know if anyone has a copy that I could actually look at. And then I just noticed that the case number in this isn't right, and I don't know if that matters. But the agenda says Z1716, and I know that what we did last night was Z1792. So I don't know if that's...
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, the case for this on the agenda, I'm looking at it on my iPad, says Z1716 for the single family, but the information from last night and what we've been doing all along since October at the zoning board was Z1792.
Yeah, it says case Z17-16. This is the claims and applications that were filed and denied by the CBA in case 1716-17. I think it should be 17-16. And I think as the documentation that Inspectional Services Director has provided the board with tonight talks about the new case being 1792, so you're correct. I just think it's a transposition error in the language.
Okay.
But the legal ad didn't allude to, no, the legal ad did not allude to any case number, just in terms of location 83 Dysart.
Okay.
I don't know whether that answers the question there.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that it was all, as Councilor Phelan is, I'm all about making sure everything's accurate. And then my other question was for one of the things that yesterday I actually spoke with Mr. Duca, and I've talked to, Councilor Phelan just now, and that the building height is actually a 2.5 story because the dimensional form, it's crossed off from a 3-story and it's just written in that it says a 2.5, and I wanted to make sure that that was actually part of the finding of facts, that it's a 2.5
They gave you a copy of the decision?
Yeah.
You can have mine if you need it.
No, I have one, so I can look at it.
Don't see it. I see the reference to the 2.5 stories, the two-unit, 2.5 story residential structure under the nature of the petition. And your question, Emery, is it 2.5 structure?
Yes.
2.5 stories?
Yeah. In the finding of facts, I'm not sure I'm reading this properly, but in the finding of facts, so the first page of this is from February 28th, so
Yeah.
that's the two-family.
2017.
So, is that the two-family?
Put an application with that.
Because it's saying that the units will have 2 bedrooms with 2 parking spaces per unit.
Yeah. Units will have 2
The
bedrooms,
original
2 parking
two-family,
spaces per unit.
Yeah, so but this says case number Z1716, which is the same
That's,
as,
that's the two-family.
that's the 2?
But this is.
I believe it is, yeah.
Um,
16 is the two-family, 92 is the single-family.
Yeah, this one's
So when
stated.
it references the 16 is
Stated.
the two-family, and it would, 2 parking spaces per unit, per, that,
This is the decision of March 29,
Ms. Doyle.
2017.
So the most current decision is the one I'm looking for.
Mr. Duker has provided us with a summary of the documents showing the difference between the case Z1716 dated March 29, 2017, and the case Z17-92 dated January 9, 2018.
Okay, so this is this one that I just got handed in yesterday.
Yeah, on that.
So, all I just want to be sure that it's the 2.5 story, single family. Because they were in the parking is what you had presented previously.
That's right.
2.5. Too well. Okay. Anything else?
And nope, and I see what the FAR is, because that was I wanted to make sure that the FAR information was accurate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak, Council?
Hi,
Mr. President?
members of the board. Congrats, grad work's good. Thank you. But, I mean, you've heard the testimony here this evening. I'm very clear on what you're being asked to assess and make a judgment on. So I want to kind of steer away from that, but there is a tremendous amount of history, and I know that you started to sort of catalog us and take us through it, but the only, and I get it, I don't think it's been a human cry of, not in my backyard. I think the residents have stayed very organized throughout the process. We were all at the zoning board last night, which, mind you, we were told originally we weren't supposed to be. And we're told on Monday that we were supposed to be. So it's just been procedurally, on this particular case, there was a huge room for improvement. And I'm within in terms of just making sure what we're all conceptually talking about is memorialized in a document, and that the math suggests what is actually being presented, because there has been variations throughout the last year. So I know that's not necessarily what you're debating here this evening. It's more, is it materially different than what was originally proposed, but we need to get that math absolutely correct. And Ann's right. I mean, the most recent application has a red line with manual handwriting, and I just think procedurally we're better than that, so.
Any questions? Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
I'm slightly confused only because I have some knowledge of repetitive petitions from my past life. And I think the language alludes to, speaks to the issue of requiring the assent of the planning board so that the applicant can go back to the ZBA because it's less than 2 years based on the denial. And I understand that clearly it's gone from a two-family to a one-family. But I always thought they needed our approval before they went back to the ZBA.
That was the consensus back on October 10th, and there was some confusion surrounding that. And I spoke to Solicitor Timmons, and if you read the actual literal writing, it's the special permit granting authority that has to find that there's material and specific changes, and they have to reduce that to writing before the planning board can consent to anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. And that makes sense. They actually need the ZBA approval in order to come to us.
And-
I got it.
correct, Okay,
I'm sorry, I do remember that.
okay.
Been a
Thank you.
while. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak? A motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Mr. Duca's representation, I think, makes it clear that the key to the whole process under repetitive petition section 16 is that there's something significantly, and I think I'm using the right term, significantly different. And what's been presented to us this evening is basically a significant difference. And so the motion would be, I can't make that, but to allow the applicant under Chapter 48, Section 16, to go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals and repetition on the assumption that there is a significant change or changes to the original application. That's not a motion, but somebody can.
I'll make the motion to allow the applicant to go back to the zoning board on the significant changes.
For a second? Second. Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you all.
Board, thank you, board.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing that I'm going to open. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81, and the rules and regulations for a definitive subdivision approval adopted by the Planning Board of the City of Quincy, Massachusetts, dated September 1, 2007. The Quincy Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2018, at 7:37 in the first floor Boards and Commissions Room, Quincy City Hall, 1305 Hancock Street, on the application of the Hancock Business Center LLC and American Eagle Investment LLC, 20 Linden Street, Alston, Mass. The applicant is proposing to subdivide 1534 to 1538, 1546 and 1550 to 1556 Hancock Street into 3 new parcels and create a new right-of-way named Road A. Properties contain approximately 17,249 plus or minus square feet of land and are located within a QCZD-15 zoning district and shown on the assessor's plan. 1142 lots 22, 25, 38, lots 2 and A. I have reach a request Got it. It's addressed dated January 9th to the department. We represent LBC Partners and their affiliates, Hancock Business Center LLC, American Eagle Investment LLC, Place at Parking Way Q LLC, and Parking Way Q Business Center LLC, collectively LBC. The LBC and its affiliates have submitted applications to the planning board for approval. Speaks to the plans. The planning board hearing on these 3 subdivision plans is scheduled for Wednesday, January 10th, 2018. On behalf of LBC, we respectfully request that the hearing be continued to a later meeting of the planning board. It's signed by Daniel J. Bailey. I am going to open it only for the, and I'll keep it open, but I have an email that was forwarded to the board, to Mr. Stevens and the planning board and elected officials and all city councils. I wish to be recorded in the public record as opposed to the proposed subdivision of planning board case 1534-1538 and 1550 to 1560-56 Hancock Street. Planning board case 2017 subdivision -01. I'm unable to attend in person because I'm temporarily wheelchair bound at a rehab facility due to an orthopedic injury. Therefore, I need written acknowledgement of this email letter. Some of our reasons are as follows: little or no communication of actual plans with the abutters on Revere Road, lack of information of impacts on abutters, including air pollution and all environmental impacts, including the possible flooding and town brook water levels and impacts on smelt spawning. No present plans for parking along the number of apartments, with the number of apartments and businesses as required by law. A proposed 700-car parking garage directly across from my home has not been approved by the appropriate legislative body that includes the city council. It also includes another high-rise apartment project by O'Connell on Hancock lot close to the courthouse, a separate project. The taking of public property, the entire Hancock parking lot for private profits, and plans for Quincy taxpayers to pay for a proposed garage with prime parking for the developers and little for Quincy shoppers and citizens is not the best public interest of average Quincy taxpayers. There is little or no development enhancement for the city. Even new green spaces intended only for the new luxury apartment dwellers, as none of the new apartments are moderately priced or low-income accommodations. Traffic is so gridlocked at certain times of the day now throughout Revere Road, Mechanic Street, Hancock Street to Washington Street, and I'm not aware of any improvements with the proposal. I understand that there are large tax breaks for this developer, yet average Quincy taxpayer rates are getting higher and higher each year. For these reasons, I am a longtime Revere Road resident and homeowner. I am opposed. And it's signed by Arlene Goodman, 33 Revere Road. So having read that into the record, I'd ask for a motion to continue these public hearings, because there's also one on parking lot to, I don't know whether we were able to do it on the meeting on the 7th of February, or whether we...
We need to hear from.
I'll be out of the country.
On the 7th? Okay, so we'll have to go to March. Because I assume Sean said he was available, except that only gives us 4, and I don't have a comfort level of 4. So we'll continue to our March meeting. So there's a motion to that effect.
So moved.
So second?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. And,
Yes.
yeah. The next item is a public hearing for 100 to 134 Parking Way, Planning Board Case 2017, Subdivision -02. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81, the rules and regulations for a definitive subdivision approval adopted by the Planning Board of the City of Quincy, Massachusetts, dated September 1, 2007. Quincy Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2018, at 7:43 in the first floor Boards and Commissions Room, Quincy City Hall, 1505 Hancock Street, Quincy, Mass, on the application of Place at Parking Way Q LLC, 20 Linden Street, Alston, Mass. 02134. The applicant is proposing to subdivide 100 to 134 Parking Way into 3 new parcels and create a new right-of-way named Road A. Properties contain approximately 34,298 plus or minus square feet of land and are located within a QCZD-15 zoning district and shown in Census Plan 1148, Lot 37, Plot A. Entertain a motion to continue this also to our meeting in March.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is a public hearing for 119-151 Parking Way, Planning Board Case 2017 subdivision -03 in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81, and the rules and regulations for a definitive subdivision approval adopted by the Quincy Planning Board of the City of Quincy dated September 1, 2007. The Quincy Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 18, 2018, on or about 7:45 in the first floor Board Commissions Room, Quincy City Hall, 1305 Hancock Street, Quincy, Mass. On the application of Parking Way Q Business Center, LLC, 20 Linden Street, Alston, Mass. 02134. The applicant is proposing to subdivide 119 to 151 Parking Way into 3 new parcels and create a new right-of-way named Road A. Properties contain approximately 28,457 plus or minus square feet of land and are located in a QCZD 15 zoning district and shown in the Census Plan 1165, Lot 70. There's a motion to continue this one also to our March meeting.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, that concludes our public hearing portion of the agenda. Under new business, there is a plan in the back for 40 to 42 Smith Street, a planning board case 2018 A&R-01, review and determination to endorse the approval not required for 40 to 42 Smith Street, planning board case 2018 A&R-01. This is a ZBA decision that was granted, so it should be endorsed based on the approval by the zoning board of appeals to allow for the subdivision into 2 separate lots. So if you haven't, I'd ask you to endorse the plan. New business, review and vote to accept an amendment to the rules and regulations for site plan / review special permit, definitive subdivision and certificates of consistency requiring a 21-day deadline for all complete submittals to the planning board projects.
So
Jim?
I will speak to
Oh,
that.
good.
So based on the ZBA has a process in place whereby they require a 21-day deadline previous to the advertising for all their projects. We discussed that we would like to have something on the books for the planning board and have an official deadline that we don't currently have in the rules and regulations.
That's fine. We used to, when I was director, we used to try to get the comments back 7 days before. Good luck with 21. No, we can just deny it. I mean, because the application isn't complete.
Right. But just to have something on the books.
Okay, so you want to vote? I would. Okay, we need a vote to accept the amendment to the rules and regulations for site plan.
If I can just
I'm
ask
sorry,
one
go ahead.
question.
I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, it's just my ignorance. Any downsides of?
The
doing
21-day
that I should
deadline?
be aware of when thinking about it? Saying yes or no?
Downside as far as your
From our-
No,
stake?
to applicants or to the process in general, like, I didn't know whether this was an easy decision or whether it was you guys struggled with any.
No, this was an easy decision because we don't currently have any convention on the books, and having seen the way that the ZBA had a formalized convention, we have a legal obligation to have advertising that we don't have anything to back that up, other than us doing our due diligence on our end.
Got it. Okay. Super helpful.
Okay, so the motion is to accept the amendment to the rules and regulations for site plan review, special permit, definitive subdivision, and certificate of consistency requiring a 21-day deadline for all complete submittals to the planning board.
I will.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And also, under new business, actually an amendment also to the rules and regulations for site plan review / special permit definitive subdivision certificates of consistency requirements, submittal of an AutoCAD files with reference to the state plan ordinance for all new planning board projects.
So I'll also speak to this, that this came down from one of the city engineers, and I'll go ahead and let you read the. Okay, so Chen Sang, who's one of our engineers, had spoken to us in an internal meeting and then put this in writing, that he's formally requesting AutoCAD files with reference to state plane coordinates to be submitted to the engineering office for all new projects submitted to the planning board, and the reason being is that the engineering department is trying to incorporate AutoCAD files into the updated GIS system.
Question?
Yeah.
Is that for all projects, just regardless of size? So, I mean, is there any hardship for a small project? I guess is my only concern.
I would have to speak with the engineering department to answer that question, but he did specify all projects in all caps.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, planning board members. The hardship for small projects, I mean, most cases that the board sees here is at least 3-unit projects. It's our experience that most of those projects need to hire an engineer for stormwater. They need to hire a professional architect. I believe that's the AutoCAD that's being requested is the practicing standard from both of those professions. I would ask or add to Susan's testimony that the city recently has hired a new city engineer, a head city engineer, and one of his big initiatives that I'm really excited about is his proposal to update the flyover. The city performed a new flyover to engineering standards that's going to produce a new set of base maps for the engineering maps of the official maps of the city. So we believe this request is coming from that hope that all future projects, once approved, will be filed with the engineering department where they can update the new GIS maps that they're currently compiling right now. So we're really excited about that. The flyover occurred right before Christmas, before the snow fell, and I believe there's a delivery of April or May for the new flyover data for, again, engineering purposes. We believe that's gonna, that's the next generation mapping for the city. So we're just trying to get up to date with any, new projects that come in where those maps, or those engineering files that we review are just gonna plug into the city map. So in the future, the general public can zoom right in and look at storm drain systems and the like. So that's pretty exciting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other related business? But I think the only discussion I think we need to have is, because I didn't know that Member Barry isn't going to be available for the 7th of February, which would then bring us to 4. I'm trying to think of what would continue that would necessitate.
We've already moved the subdivisions to March.
14th.
Farrington.
Farrington is, that would be the only one. It's I believe it's a 3-family that we've seen before.
So it would necessitate all 4 of 4 members here to vote.
As we look at the schedule going forward, there's a concern, well, not a concern, there's an absence of new cases that are ready to go. So there may be, in fact, a reason to not hold a meeting in February.
So you're saying as Member Barry's out of the country, we don't need to be
What I'm saying is if you'd leave more often, we could have less meetings. No.
Another way to put it. Member Barry, you want to rebuttal?
I'd just like to say that I am available on the originally scheduled meeting date, and I'll be happy to.
I would share that,
Valentine's Day plans?
I would share that I am as well.
Jim?
Did we take a vote on this? We had some questions, but I'm not sure.
On the,
On the.
yeah, we did,
okay.
on both the amendments to both, the two new business items.
Okay, just want to make sure.
One additional piece of business.
Yes, go ahead.
I believe that I was the holdup on approving the list of meeting dates. I just wanted to say that I reviewed all the meeting dates for the rest of the year. I'm fine with all of them. I'd like to reserve for July and August the ability for spontaneous
Vacation?
vacation, but for all the other meetings, good to go.
Our schedule's forward, you know that. Okay, hearing no other business, a motion to adjourn? Great, thank you. 7:55, keep going.
We're off by 10 minutes.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah.